Welcome to another Islam Today's episode, where we explore the conceptual foundations of Islamic medicine and evolutionary medicine. We start by briefly explaining how each tradition views the origins and purpose of medicine. Let's start the conversation.
Certainly, Islamic medicine is rooted in the Quranic and prophetic traditions, emphasizing holistic healing that unites body, mind, and spirit within the framework of divine unity, or tawhid. Evolutionary medicine, on the other hand, seeks to understand health and disease through the lens of natural selection and adaptation, focusing on how our evolutionary past shapes our present vulnerabilities.
That's a great start. Many listeners might wonder if these approaches are fundamentally at odds. Is there an inherent conflict between faith-based healing and scientific evolutionary thinking?
Interestingly, there isn't as much conflict as one might assume. Early Muslim scholars like Al-Jahiz and Al-Tusi discussed ideas similar to natural selection centuries before Darwin. Both systems value inquiry and evidence, though their philosophical underpinnings differ, which opens the door for meaningful dialogue and integration.
Let's delve into history. How did Islamic medicine develop, and what role did intellectual exchange play in its evolution?
Islamic medicine flourished from the 7th century onward, catalyzed by the Quran's encouragement to seek knowledge. During the Abbasid era, scholars translated works from Greek, Persian, and Indian sources, synthesizing them into a robust, experimental, and evidence-based system. The translation movement was so extensive that over 200 manuscripts were housed in Baghdad's libraries.
That's impressive. In contrast, evolutionary medicine is a much newer field, correct? How did it emerge, and what disciplines does it draw from?
Yes, evolutionary medicine really gained momentum in the late 20th century. It's inherently multidisciplinary, integrating anthropology, ecology, genetics, and psychology to examine why our bodies are susceptible to certain diseases. For example, the Human Genome Project has illuminated both our evolutionary history and current genetic predispositions.
Now that we have some background, let's compare core concepts. How do tawhid in Islamic medicine and natural selection in evolutionary medicine shape their views on health?
Tawhid, or divine unity, frames all life as interconnected, with nature reflecting the divine order. This leads to the concept of fitra, or the natural state, which emphasizes harmony. Evolutionary medicine, meanwhile, sees the body as the product of countless adaptations. Natural selection favors traits that enhance survival, even if they come with trade-offs.
Could you give an example of how these ideas manifest in practice?
Certainly, Islamic medicine views the body as a microcosm of the universe, interconnected and balanced. Evolutionary medicine might analyze the narrowness of the human pelvis. It's a trade-off that enabled bipedalism, but made childbirth more difficult, a classic example of evolutionary compromise.
That's a fascinating analogy. So, both systems recognize complexity and interconnectedness, but from different starting points. Transitioning to daily life, diet, and lifestyle are central to both traditions. How do Islamic and evolutionary medicine approach these topics, especially regarding chronic disease?
Both traditions emphasize the importance of moderation and natural foods. The Quran and Hadith recommend foods like olive oil, honey, and dates, which modern studies confirm have antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Similarly, evolutionary medicine critiques modern diets rich in refined sugars and fats, advocating for diets closer to those of ancient hunter-gatherers.
Can you expand on the mismatch theory in evolutionary medicine and how it relates to today's health challenges?
Of course, mismatch theory suggests our bodies evolved for environments with lean meats and high physical activity, yet today we face sedentary lifestyles and processed foods. This disconnect contributes to obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease, a phenomenon also addressed by Islamic guidance on balanced eating and activity.
So both systems essentially warn against straying too far from our biological or spiritual nature. Let's discuss methodology. How do Islamic and evolutionary medicine use analytical approaches, and what role does evidence play in each?
Islamic medicine, especially during its golden age, was surprisingly empirical. Physicians like Al-Razi and Ibn Sina emphasized observation, experimentation, and even clinical trials. Evolutionary medicine also relies on cross-disciplinary evidence from population genetics to epidemiology to test hypotheses about disease origins.
That's intriguing. Do these analytical traditions ever clash with more modern biomedical models that treat the body as a machine?
Both Islamic and evolutionary medicine reject the purely mechanistic model. Instead, they see the body as a dynamic, adaptive system. For example, evolutionary medicine highlights how immune responses are shaped by past pathogens, whereas Islamic medicine considers both physical and spiritual factors in diagnosis and healing.
This suggests that integrating these perspectives could enrich modern medical practice by broadening the definition of evidence and causality. As we look ahead, how might Islamic and evolutionary medicine be integrated for future healthcare? Are there practical examples or ongoing research supporting this idea?
A promising direction is holistic patient care. For instance, integrating spiritual elements like meditation or prayer, as advocated in Islamic medicine, could complement evolutionary insights on stress and immunity. Some hospitals already offer spiritual counseling alongside genetic counseling for chronic illness management.
That's a compelling vision. Could the Islamic principle of tawhid also inform systems biology or ecological approaches in medicine?
Absolutely. Tawhid's emphasis on unity mirrors systems biology's focus on feedback loops and interconnected networks. This perspective encourages us to see health as arising from balanced interactions between genes, environment, and even social or spiritual factors.
Clearly, there's much to gain from combining these rich traditions. Thank you for helping us unravel these complex, fascinating connections today.